So now let's move on to the sexiest topic, taxation.
Ziggity!
Ziggity, no.
So could you please outline your ideal taxation policy?
Yes. I think, a tax policy should ensure that, A, we generate enough revenues to do the things we need to do as a country, and that everyone pays their fair share, and that the people who have had the greatest success and earned the greatest wealth in this country pay a greater share of taxes than people who have been less successful. And I think that's what a progressive tax system provides. I think what we have seen, unfortunately, is this growing income inequality in this country, exacerbated by tax policies which, for example, give people who make their living through hedge funds pay a much lower rate than people who work in a factory at a factory foot press. One would think actually the person who works at a foot press is doing harder work and maybe they should have a lower rate, but at least having the same rate would make sense. But I think we have to fix that. I've co-sponsored legislation to do that. I've supported the whole time I've been there, allowing the Bush tax cuts to expire for the wealthiest Americans. So I think we want a tax code that generates enough revenues for us to provide the things that we need to provide as a country, but that's really progressive and that gives that treats income the way income should be treated for all Americans and doesn't give people who make money in that way through hedge funds and financial services more favorably than people who do other kinds of work.
So just to move on to these particular issues, and you already touched on the Bush tax cuts, how do you feel about a financial transaction tax to limit oil speculation?
I think it's a great idea. And I've co-sponsored, I think, 2 bills that will address this issue of oil speculation. It's a huge problem. Some people estimate that it contributes about 15% of the costs at the pump. If I get this right, it was historically the case that 80% of the market were people who were actually taking delivery of oil, and 20% were speculators. It's now reversed. It's about 20% of people are actually taking delivery of the product, and 80% of the people who are using it as a casino, who are literally betting on what it will do, and it has totally destroyed the market. I mean, think about this. We have production is up, consumption is down, the price should go down, and up until recently that wasn't happening, and it's because of the presence of oil speculators. They are frankly doing exactly what happened in the housing market. They are developing these very elaborate derivatives, these very complicated devices really that are allowing them to speculate really in a very destabilizing way, and we should not have that, and we can fix it, and we're not powerless to fix it. The power of people makes it difficult in Washington, but we should.
And so new tax brackets for higher earners. How do you feel about those?
I support them.
And how would you go about extending the Bush tax cuts? And in what portions of the tax cuts?
Yeah, I think the Bush tax cuts should expire for sure. I know the president has recently talked about incomes over $1 million. I think the original proposal was incomes over $250,000, which I think based on kind of what we're facing, I think many more people are starting to say the 250. I was persuaded in listening to some folks about the range between 250 and $1 million, that there were a number of small businesses that would be affected by that. I don't know the amount that difference that we lose in revenue between the 250 and the $1 million. I'd like to know that. I think it's not a lot, so I think you could avoid a lot of opposition in terms of getting it passed if it were the $1 million. I think probably the 250 is the right point. I think some of the, I haven't looked at the data recently, but some of the data about the impact on small businesses is fair, and I think we need to look at it. But for sure, that top 2%, wherever that gets us, I think is the right mark.